Hello and welcome again to Jadwiga's Fairy Tale channel. Today with a story from either Portugal or Spain. Various books say various things, but it's a beautiful story and it's called The Prince with Donkey Ears. Once upon a time there were a king and a queen who had no children, and they were very sad about that. So they decided to travel far, far into the woods where they knew 3 fairies lived. And they found those fairies and told them their desire. The fairies looked at them and said, "Well, we will fulfill your wish, just go home." And shortly after the queen and king had returned back home, the queen felt that she was pregnant. And when the little baby boy was born, all the 3 fairies came to give him all of their good wishes. So the first fairy wished him to become a very good-looking young man. And the second wished him wisdom and a warm heart. Now the third one was upset and said, "You have spoiled all the good wishes, so there is none left for me." And she wished this little boy to get donkey ears, because you won't become proud or arrogant because of all these good things you've got. And then the fairies disappeared. The king was desperate and said, "No, take that back," but they were gone, because he thought, this little boy shall become king one day, and a king with donkey ears, that's impossible. Nobody would obey him, nobody would respect him, nobody would make what he orders. People would laugh about him. Oh, no. Such a boy cannot become king unless nobody knows his secret with the donkey ears. So after a couple of days you could see these little donkey ears grow, and the king gave order that the little prince has to wear a cap that is very close and tight to his head, so that nobody could see what was growing beneath. And believe it or not, this young boy grew up and nobody knew what he was hiding under his cap. But one day, the boy was maybe 14 years old or so. His hair had grown so weird, and his beard had grown, and he looked pretty weird. So the king decided a barber must come and cut the hair and the beard. And he called a barber and said, "Well, if you tell anybody what you will see after my son takes off his cap, you have to die. Promise that you will not tell." What should that poor barber do but promise? Of course he did. And then he was guided to the prince and to his room, where the prince took off his cap. The barber tried to ignore what he saw, and he did his job. He cut the hair and the beard, and after he was finished, the cap was put on again. And before he left the castle, the king said, "I remind you, you will have to die if you tell what you have seen under my son's cap." I won't, promised the barber. And he went back home. But this secret followed him. It followed him by night, so he could not sleep. It followed him by day, so he could not eat, nor work, nor do anything. It was always in his mind, the prince has donkey ears. The prince has donkey ears. He wasn't able to think anything but the prince has donkey ears. So he actually became sick. and went to a pope. And he said, I have a secret. If I tell it, the king will kill me. But if I don't, it will kill me. So I have to die anyway. I don't know what to do. Oh, said the pope, that's easy. You know this little pond behind the forest beside our city? Sure he did. So you go there and you dig a deep, deep hole. And into this hole you cry out your secret. And after you're finished, you cover the hole and go back home and you will be released. Yes. Immediately the barber took a spade and he marched through that forest right to this little pond and he started digging. He dug a deep, deep, big hole and he cried, the princess donkey ears, the princess donkey ears, the princess donkey ears. He cried and cried and cried until everything was out. Ah, he felt so good. He put the dirt back into that hole and happily walked back home. And now he could sleep, he could eat, he could work. It was just like before. Next spring, when the reed grass grew around this little pond, the boys came and cut the reed to make little flutes, like they did always, every year. But this year was different, because when they blew their little flutes, there was a voice to be heard. And the voice sang, the princess donkey ears, the princess donkey ears. And whatever the boys tried to play, nothing else was possible but the princess donkey ears, the princess donkey ears. Of course, the king got to know about this mystery, and he called one of the boys and said, play. And the boy played, but the princess donkey ears, the princess donkey ears. Give me that flute, said the king. But whatever he tried to play, it was the same. The princess donkey ears. So now the king was upset and he called that barber and said, you have not kept your promise. You have told that my son has donkey ears. No, said the barber. I didn't tell anybody. Really, I promise, I swear, I haven't told it. But the king did not believe him. And he said, you are sentenced to death. A gallows was put up, and many people had gathered around because this is a spectacle they don't want to miss. Now the poor barber stood there, and the rope was put around his neck, when all of a sudden the prince stepped forward and said, stop it. He told the truth. It is true. I have donkey ears, and I don't want him to die because he told the truth. And besides, donkey ears or not, I can be a good king, no matter what kind of ears I have. And with these words, he took off his cap, and there were the donkey ears. But they shrinked, and everybody could see the prince had ears just like everybody else. Now everybody was happy. The king, the queen, the prince, and all of the people around. And this was really courageous, what this little prince did. I think he became a very good king to his people.